here we are. Probably, I've said this a couple times now, probably the most important part of this course, but this is the product interview, which to this day I still remember when I had talked to my friend who went through interviews with all the APM programs, and I was like, Andreas, like, what are some typical questions? He's like, design a phone for a blind person. And I was just like, what? Design a phone for a blind person? That you want me to do that? And my jaw just hit the floor. It's like, how do you design a phone for a blind person? And I think for the most of us, this type of answer to this question just doesn't come naturally. Therefore, this is the chapter where we are going to break down those questions, and I'm going to teach you how to solve them. This chapter is going to be a similar format to behavioral interviews, but in a different order. First, I'm going to teach you what the interviewers are looking for. Second, I'm going to teach you how to answer the question. Third, we'll go over some examples. And finally, we're going to talk about how to become prepared to answer these questions. What are the interviewers looking for when they ask you these questions? Well, they're looking to see if you can do the job of a product manager. A product manager's job has a lot to do with ambiguity and deciding what is the right decision for the customer. And that's what you're doing here. You're deciding what's the best product for a blind person. Super ambiguous, need to decide for them. The interviewer wants to see basically how you would function in that role through these questions. So to make sure I got the criteria right, this is another list that we're just going to read off. So that way you get all the accurate information instead of me just trying to ad-lib it so it seems a bit more natural. The main criteria that your interview is going to be looking for is really that: 1, you can define a goal. 2, you focus on a target user. 3, that you kind of identify the pain points of that target user group. 4, you're able to emphasize with the user, really understand what they're thinking, why you're making those decisions. 5, you can prioritize and make trade-offs when you're going through these exercises. Next, you're creative, you demonstrate leadership, you're persuasive, and ultimately you're providing a strong argument for your response. You really want to do this in a very thoughtful, structured approach when answering this question. I think a big challenge that people face with this problem is that they try to memorize a framework or a format and try to go through the same thing every single time. And that's something that I struggled with. I would take the format that I was taught and just try to plug everything in. And sometimes I would just step back and look like, wow, like this is not going well. Therefore, as I talked about for those few characteristics, the 4 main things that you're going to want to include in your answer are that: 1, it's structured; 2, it's thoughtful; 3, it's well supportive; and 4, that it's creative. And as long as you include those 4 things, you're going to be setting yourself up for success. The things that you are going to want to avoid when answering this question are not being clear, suggesting an idea that already exists, not taking time to think, not moving naturally, not speaking clearly, and not answering the question. When doing product interviews, there's really going to be 2 main types you should be prepared for. The first one is inventing a product, and the second one is improving an existing product. Examples of these are: invent a product for Uber, improve your favorite app. These are basically the 2 forms you'll see. What's going to take you practice is being able to apply and answer these questions for both hardware and software products. In the 2 famous books, Decode and Conquer and Cracking the Interview, they teach you the circles methods and other ones. But I didn't like to think about a framework. I tried learning circles and it always confused me, and I thought the acronym, like what each letter stand for, was confusing, and it was very rudimentary, like not rudimentary, but they overlapped a lot, and I was always super confused. These questions aren't that hard. This is the simple formula that you want to follow. First, you just want to question the question. So just clarify it. What do you mean by blind person? What do you mean by phone? Why are we making this phone? What's the goal of the phone? Do we have constraints? Question the question. The next one is you want to focus on a user or persona to focus on, like the blind person. You just want to narrow down your scope. The next is you want to come up with pain points. So what are some pain points that person is suffering from? And you should be coming up with a minimum of 3 pain points. The next one is you want to come up with solutions. And this is where it can vary. You could come up with multiple solutions that tackle all the pain points. You could pick 1 pain point and 3 solutions for that pain point. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it that I'll talk about later. but you're just going from pain point to solutions, and those solutions are focused on solving the pain point. After you pick solutions, you want to prioritize those solutions, or you want to eliminate the other ones. So either focus on one, or just say, we're going to do this one, then this one, and this one. So pain point solutions. After you come up with solutions, you're going to come up with metrics for your solution. How are you going to measure the success of this solution? And after metrics, you're going to look at the launch strategy. And this seems like it's confusing and a lot to remember, but think of it as if you were inventing a product. Wouldn't that make sense? Let's look at it this way. We're inventing a new invention. Well, what does a product do? It solves a problem. Well, first, before we solve a problem, we need a user. So we have a user, the user has a problem, we come up with a solution, we launch the solution. That is how you answer a product question. That's the simplest terms. User, pain point, solution, metrics, and launch. That's it.